let me tell you about some red flags in mortgage. If you're going to get a home loan and you are working with a loan officer that you don't know, nobody in your family knows, it's just who your realtor recommended, here's some red flags that you need to be on the lookout for that may mean you're not going to get the best service or the best interest rate that's available. The first one is, if you do a loan application, which takes probably 15 to 20 minutes if you really know your stuff, like, you know, your date of birth, your social, your last 2 years of employment, your last 2 years of address, you can knock those things out in probably 20 minutes. If you submit a loan application tomorrow morning to me at 8 a.m., I'm going to be on the phone with you by 10 a.m. That'll give me enough time to get into the office, have a cup of coffee, review your file, get another cup of coffee, and then call you to go over notes and figure out what you're trying to do. If someone does my application, I'm talking to them within 2 hours max every single time. It doesn't even matter if it comes in at 7 o'clock at night. I'm calling you. If you're working, I'm working. So if you're working with a lender or a bank and they close at 5 o'clock, what happens when the market's competitive? Maybe you find a really well-priced house and it's, yeah, I mean, a house for $300,000 doesn't exist in my area at all. Hasn't existed for years. So you find a house for $300,000 at 7 o'clock at night, you go see it, you want to put an offer in, you need a pre-approval letter, and you want to be the first in the door because it does matter. The first offer in is the first one reviewed. You need a pre-approval letter, you can't reach your loan officer after 5 o'clock. What are you going to do? You're going to have to scramble. You're going to have to find somebody like me who is working, who can get you a pre-approval letter, redo your application, resubmit your documentation, let me review it. Then you're up until 9 o'clock. I'm up until 9 o'clock. You got to have someone who's available. The first red flag, they're done at 5 o'clock, you can't reach them, or you do an application and you don't hear from them for a few days. Here's the second flag. If you fill out a loan application and you don't provide any paperwork to a lender or a bank and they just say, you're good to go, how do they know that? Because they'll pull your credit, sure, they can see you have good credit, they can see your liabilities, but they're going off the income that you put on the application. Well, what if you're self-employed and you have write-offs and they don't know that? Like, if someone put on my application that they're self-employed and they make $200,000, I'm assuming they don't actually make $200,000 because they have expenses and write-offs, and most people don't know that write-offs are deductions out of your income in the eyes of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac when you go to get a home loan. So your income isn't $200,000. If you write off $150,000, your usable income is 50 grand. So if someone gives you a pre-approval letter without you providing any documentation to them, I would be highly suspicious of that, and you're most likely going to run into a problem. Maybe you won't. Plenty of people probably get away with it. It's no problem, but they got lucky. If you don't provide any paperwork at all for a lender, loan officer, whoever you're working with, bank to review and actually look at your paperwork, you're asking for problems. So that's number 2. The third one is this. They only give you one option. Yep, you're approved. I can get you X interest rate. Okay, well, is there anything else out there? Nope. This is the best. It's the best. Why would you want anything else? This is the best I have. Okay, that's great. But what if, just hypothetical, what if you have an 800 credit score, you're putting 5% down, and again, hypothetical, because I'm not supposed to quote rates, this is all hypothetical, not committing anybody to lending at this rate. Let's say your conventional rate's 7%. What if an FHA loan, even though it has mortgage insurance, you're going to have mortgage insurance on conventional, given you'll pay a little bit more, but what if that interest rate is 5.875 and you save 1.125% in interest? That's several $100s a month that they just didn't give you the option. So this is why in all of my videos, I always harp on everybody. Get multiple opinions. And it's how it works. If you go to a bank, let's say you go to ABC Bank, you walk in, you get pre-approved, they give you an interest rate, they say, hey, you're going to be at X and you're good to go. Cool. Well, that's that bank's portfolio. Every bank is different. It's how interest rates work is overnight money is changing hands bank to bank, and the cost of money is different for everybody based on when they're allocating and moving all their funds around. So if you work with ABC Bank, they might be at X, and then you might call me. I'm a broker. I'm partnered with 150 different lenders and lending institutions that all have their own rates, and my program that I have shops all of them at the same time. So I'm shopping 150 different lenders, and how do you know that the bank that you're working with is giving you the best rate if you don't at least get a second opinion to verify it? Because that's just that bank's portfolio. That's it, just their one lane. So imagine LA traffic on a Friday, you're in a 1-lane freeway trying to get home. Then you come to someone like me. I have 150 different lenders I work with. So then imagine LA traffic on 150 lanes on a Friday. You're gonna be home in 15, 20 minutes versus 15 to 20 hours in a 1-lane LA highway. So recap our red flags, our top 3. 1, you can't get a hold of them. They only work until 5 o'clock. You do an application, they're not on the phone with you within at least a few hours. I think I'm pretty aggressive with 2 hours, but it's just my goal. That's what I strive to hit. If you don't hear from them for several days, big red flag. Number 2, they pre-approve you, give you a letter and tell you to go shopping, and you haven't given them any paperwork. You're asking to be set up to be depressed and to fail if you don't give any paperwork to your lender to verify. And again, 9 out of 10 times, it may be 100% correct and it's nothing to worry about. But the 1 out of 10 on the home that you just have to have, you lose in the middle of the transaction because the lender didn't verify your paperwork. It's the worst feeling in the world. And then number 3, not giving you multiple options, and to touch on it, not getting multiple opinions. That's on you. If you guys found any of this helpful, make sure you follow the channel, subscribe, and all of my contact information is in the description of the video. Would love to help or be your second opinion if you're looking to get financing.